Good morning, guys. Welcome to the NoTube channel. I'm sorry it's a little bit messy around here. Well, I was listening to some Joy Division early on today and I was thinking what would be a nice and small pedal setup that would get me to sound like most of these alternative rock and indie bands out there. So the sounds of Arctic Monkeys, the sounds of Blur, Slow Dive, stuff like that. I came up with an interesting combination and I want to show you guys that. So let's go for it. This is the setup I came up with. It has 4 pedals and one of them is a tuner. I included a tuner because it's important to keep in tune when you're on stage, and this is a really easy and cheap way to have it. It's the Baby Tuner by Mooer. It just mutes a signal and it's on, it's true bypass, and it has very bright LEDs, so you're for sure gonna see it when you're on stage. Next pedal in line is the TR7 by Hardwire. It is a digital pedal that emulates a rotary speaker sound, a vibrato, a vibe, and tremolo. So it's packed with all those shaky effects that are used by indie bands in lead lines, for example, as you heard in that Queens of the Stone Age song. So here it's set to the rotary sound, and as you can hear, it's a very natural sounding rotary speaker. I like to use it with my overdrive in front of it so I can boost the volume of these effects. Sometimes these lead lines are played in parts with drums and bass, so you might not be heard if you don't have a boost after it. So here I'm using the SE2 in the low gain overdrive setting with a very low gain and a high volume, so I'm heard, for example, while playing the band mix. Just for you to hear the difference, here's the effect without the overdrive. Yeah, I get the picture. Sometimes these digital pedals, mainly with rotary modulations and vibe modulations, they can drop your volume quite significantly. So having a boost pedal after them is really useful. Let's go for the SE2 now. So it has 2 overdrives, as the name implies. One is a low gain overdrive, which I was using now as a boost, and the other one is just a very high gain overdrive. So it's packed with these 2. They can be used independently or you can switch between them. It depends on how you set the mode knob. Let me show you both of the overdrives. So here's the low gain when the LED is green, and when it's red it's the high gain overdrive. So here's their sound. can hear, it's a very natural sounding overdrive. Just a really nice distorted signal for you to add to your pedalboard. And it's very versatile because I can use it as a clean boost here with the low gain channel, or I can use it as my main distortion when using the high gain channel. What I like about this pedal so much that you can switch between the overdrives, and I used to use this in my Queens of the Stone Age cover band, so let me show you some of the settings I used. The low gain overdrive sounds a little bit lo-fi, and I really like that about it. Sometimes it can be a little bit hairy, but that's good for a live situation because in a band these extra high frequencies can really make sure you're heard, so that's why I like this pedal so much. But here in my room, let's turn the tone knob a little bit down. It's by far my favorite drive pedal by Boss. Next line we have the DD7, which is just your typical Boss delay stone box. I use it to recreate these sounds used, for example, in 505. There's like this modulated background going on with delays and reverbs and stuff, so this is a really nice pedal to recreate that. Yeah, it sounds really good. Here I have set the delay time all the way off, and I've increased the level and the feedback. You can barely hear the repeats. You hear mostly the modulated signal. You get the picture. It gives you that sort of indie background thing going on. This is meant to be a cheap and small setup, so I decided to go for the digital delay because it can fake reverb, so I wouldn't need a reverb pedal after this. So that's it, guys. This is the setup. This is how these pedals sounds. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you could get something out of it. The main idea I had with this video is to give you a concept. So for example, an order of effects and what types of effects to use to recreate these sounds in a cheap way. So yeah, here, this is the TR7 by Hardwire. Now it's getting kind of expensive, so you can choose any other multi-modulation pedal that has these sounds. So for example, the Nux Modco has these sounds in a cheap package and even smaller. So you can still have this setup in a very cheap way. So you can choose the Nux Modco, for example, as I said before, to replace this pedal and get even more sounds, because this one doesn't have a chorus or a phaser. The Nux Modco does. You can replace this with the Nux Modco. You can replace this with any fuzz or distortion or overdrive you like. I just picked the dual overdrive because it's a really nice way to recreate all of these sounds in just one package, and it's very useful. This pedal is very cheap. It's not one of those pedals of Boss that has gone into a hype. It doesn't need to be a DD7 here. It can be your favorite delay or reverb pedal. I don't know. You can use whatever you want. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave some comments below. Please tell me what you would like to see next, and tell me if you could add one pedal to this setup, what would it be? What other effect or pedal would you add to this thing? Please consider subscribing, and see you next time.